That's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
So, how about we formally introduce you? Can you tell us your name?
Yes, David Fernando Alvarado, Chiquin. I have 4 names.
All right, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How did
Yes.
that happen?
Well, in Latin America, we always go with the paternal name and then the maternal name. So you can take both as your last names.
Do you have a
Usually,
middle?
I have a middle,
Okay,
Fernando.
so that's where you get the four, basically.
David Fernando Alvarado Chiquin.
Interesting.
But since I became a U.S. citizen, I'm just David Fernando Alvarado.
Okay.
But I do have very deep roots in Guatemala, where I come from.
So you play flamenco guitar, right?
Play a little flamenco. I don't like to throw that word so
Easily.
easily
Yeah.
because I met Paco de Lucia. You know some of the great guitar players right now, and so it's a title that it's thrown here in the U.S. to anybody, right?
Yeah.
And I have a little bit of respect for that, but I can say that definitely have spent the majority of my time listening to flamenco more than any other type of music, and I think that you can hear it in my music. I'm not playing flamenco. My music is totally different. I like to call it more Latin American inspired, but there's the influence of the flamenco and not only the aggressiveness, but the rage, I guess, the fast things that they do. I snuggle into it.
Who like did you have any specific influences? Like
Yeah, for sure. Paco de Lucia, the great Spanish uh, flamenco guitar player. He's probably the most influential. But the interesting thing is, I came to play guitar because I moved to the United States. And so I said to my mom, well, you got to buy me a motorcycle if I go over there. She goes, oh, no problem. Just come here. Once you get here, no problem. We'll get you a motorcycle.
why a motorcycle?
Because I wanted a motorcycle. That's
That's
what I
it. There
wanted.
was no other reason. It was just like I want a motorcycle. And I was
Well,
like,
because I have friends who in Guatemala where we used to go see this motocross, and
okay.
over there, I mean, the mountains are really steep,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
So
yeah.
so that's what I wanted to do, huh? Right? Go to New Orleans where it's flat land. The whole state is flat land, and and so I didn't see any mountains. Anyway, my mom said, "No, I'm not gonna get you a bike. I mean, that's out of the question now." It's
Yeah,
like,
my mom told me the same thing. She said, "I'll get you your coffin with it if you want."
oh wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Well, she was telling me she's gonna kill me. That's what she meant.
Oh, I see. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm glad my mom didn't go that direction.
Yeah. No, it
But
seems like I was.
but what she did give me was a guitar,
That's awesome,
and
man.
that totally changed my life because obviously, that's the how to say that that's really one of the reasons why I came on Earth.
So you didn't play guitar in Guatemala. You played when you came
No,
here.
I came to the United States to learn.
Oh, okay.
Obviously I didn't know that. Once I got the guitar and I started messing around with it and hearing, and that was my little story. I didn't he listened to flamenco at that time. Who I was listening to? I was listening to Led Zeppelin,
Hmm.
Black Sabbath, um, and so forth and so on. And that's what I wanted to do, rock and roll. So I got one guitar, and that's what I wanted to do. But then, within a year or two after I got the guitar, somebody gave me an LP of the guitar trio John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola, and Paco de Lucia, and it just blew my mind, man. It just put me in a different tone, basically. Just forgot about jazz, forgot about rock,
Yeah.
and I said to myself, I have to go into what my roots are, because at this time I'm from Guatemala. Guatemala does not have a national tradition of guitar, for example. They have some folkloric things, but there's not like Peru, for example, or Brazil or Argentina, where you have very strong um, guitar patterns that it identify the country right away. Guatemala doesn't have that. So basically, what I did was I became Latin American like, as a
Yeah.
whole, and I started thinking I need to learn this for myself. Now it wasn't something nobody said, "Oh, you make money doing this," right? No, there was never like any financial motive for this. And being in New Orleans, there was nobody to teach you Latin guitar. So anyway, I met these other people there, and I started playing gigs, not paying gigs because obviously in New Orleans in those days people didn't get paid. We just did it for fun.
They still don't get paid, man.
No, actually, they passed a law where
What do
they
you
have
mean?
to pay. Yeah, no,
Wait, over there?
in New Orleans.
Oh, okay. I was
You
gonna say
you
like,
have to pay any artist that performs in either a coffee place, restaurant, or whatever.
no
It's
shit.
because it's the birthplace of jazz, man.
That's
Which is
kind of
cool.
cool,
Well,
actually.
obviously, it's very cool, but that didn't happen to me. So, but I'm actually happy that that happened to me because that's what made me come here.
Hmm.
And I think coming here is what really made me flourish.
To
Although
LA.
to LA,
Yeah.
Los Angeles, I came here with my mom 2 years prior to visit my uncle who lived in Sepulveda. Now it's called North Hills, and I was like, man, this is so cool. I mean, the signs were in Spanish and in English, and I totally related more to my Latin roots here
Yeah.
than New Orleans. New Orleans, is the South, and
Yeah, of course,
there's,
man. Yeah.
a lot of Cubans, Not that I love Cuban people,
I was
so I
gonna
should
say,
say that.
man, hold on. What are you saying? Like,
No, but what I'm saying is that they were.
it's different. It's
It's
definitely different.
the
Yeah.
majority of Latinos were Cubans then. The second nationality that was the second place was Hondurans, and then something else, but it wasn't Mexicans, right? So now obviously there's more Mexicans over there. There's um, more of them there. But my point was that when I got this album, it just I said to my kind of like somebody said, hey, you know what? This is how the guitar is supposed to be played, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, I wasn't able to play it at that time because I mean it was like it's still if I let you hear some of it, you go, wow, these guys are amazing. But it is something that I've been working up to, and it's keeping me on my toes all these years. And some things I can do, some things are way too fast. But the thing is, when you incorporate it into your music, it makes the music flow as well because you've heard this so many times. That's one of the reasons why I learned guitar. When I in those days we had record players and you could put one side and then we'll turn the other side and hear the other side. And so I would go to sleep listening to guitar music, right?
Oh, you were like
Classical,
brushing your teeth with the LP, like,
dude. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Wake up
subliminally.
and just,
And then when I got a CD player, I will put it on repeat, whatever song I really wanted to learn, and that's I mean that even to those extent to that
so,
extent,
how many years have you been playing then?
37. I just
Jesus.
had a guitar birthday this past Easter.
You actually remember the day you first got it?
It was, I think, like April 8th or
So you
13th.
kind of remember roughly,
Well,
like,
because I looked it up on the calendar. You
mm,
can go back as many years as you want, and oh no, actually, I googled it, the Easter in 1983, and I think it was either the 8th or the 13th, somewhere around there. In But every Easter, I call my mom for Easter. Obviously, although I'm not Catholic anymore, but I always call her for Easter, and I thank her for giving me the guitar because not only she gave me my life, but she gave me the love of my life, which is music. Be- she just allowed it
that's
for me,
awesome,
right?
man.
And so it's like one of the best gifts I ever got in my life.
That's really cool,
Yeah,
actually.
from one of the most beautiful people in my life. So it's very significant, very significant.
I don't even know how to follow up on it. That's
Well,
awesome. I love hearing stories like that because it's always like, sometimes you talk to people and they're very like, how do you explain it? Like, there's a lot of ego, like, oh, gee, I mean, it's so natural, and I just got here. They have that in them, but it's refreshing whenever you hear somebody that appreciates that they didn't do everything themselves. There were other people in their lives that helped them get to where they are.
I mean, Paco. The other person that I would say is the second biggest influence in my life, and also as a guitar player, is Jorge Struns from Struns and Farah. They're a guitar duo. He's from Costa Rica, and Ardeshir Farah is from Iran.
Mm.
They
How'd
formed this.
that couple work out? How'd that even?
They met here in LA in 1979, and they
Jeez, man,
started
a long time
recording
ago.
around the same time that album that I told you about, Passion, Grace, and Fire came out. Actually, they came theirs came first,
Hmm.
and their music was almost similar because it was two virtuoso guitar players just going to town and just improvising everywhere they could, and just these great melodies and great rhythms, a lot of Latin American rhythms that were not. Let's say Jorge did not write, let's say, a guapango or huayno, but the rhythm of that was in the song, for
Okay.
for a little bit here, a little bit there, over there, and just because those were the influences he had, and so I think that you can see that in my music as well because I happen to be like a very like the biggest fan of Latin American music, folkloric music, like the traditional stuff, and I know who the great ones are. Another thing, I used to work for Tower Records, so that gave me
Oh, okay.
a venue to hear all this spectrum of music, and that became also like a schooling for me, because I knew about jazz, I knew about, let's say, Coltrane, and I knew about Wes Montgomery, but I never really heard their music as like five CDs at a time, or you know. And when I was working at Tower Records, I remember one time and I said, "Look, can I get the box set of Wes Montgomery?" And because we were doing really good sales for Concord in those years, they said, "No problem." Sent it. All
Swipe
right.
the card.
Okay,
There you go.
next one is gonna be Thelonious Monk. And sure enough, I got it, man. I'm not joking, because I was working for them, basically selling their music at
Yeah.
the stores, putting them in the store that I was working in Northridge. So thing here, everything it's connected in a way, and in those years, I remember that that's when the grunge scenes started happening. Right,
Early
I
90s
I
and
missed the whole thing. Why? Because I was listening to flamenco music. I was listening to folk music. I totally blocked the whole thing out, dude. Now I listen to Chris Cornell and I go, man, sounds amazing.
rest
Because
in peace.
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody who I love, man. That guy was just yeah.
Believe it or not, I didn't get into any of the 90s grunge stuff until Jesus, man, like 3, 4 years back, something like that. It's really recently. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you actually start listening to it, you're like, dude, what
Yeah.
the fuck is this? This is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a completely different sound.
Even Rage Against the Machine, who were
Fucking love those guys.
who were very political.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, they're great. I know. And we'll go back to flamenco. Like, I don't remember ever hearing like a whole album of them when they were in.
Yeah.
It was like until years later. But then I guess that's how your influences come and go. I think I admire Chris Cornell because of his lyrics. I think he's one of the most talented lyricists ever. He's very, I don't know, he's got this gift that it's just, he does beautiful lyrics, man. Just all the albums.
Do you find it hard to like just stick to playing one style, or do you I guess what I'm trying to ask is it natural to you to just stick with the one style that you go with, or have you ever tried to play any different styles of guitar? Like did like blues, for example, ever
Yes, I
come up
did.
for you? And
I did, but it did not feel natural for me.
mm,
I felt like I would be imitating somebody.
forcing it almost
Yeah,
like
almost. And so I guess the closest to blues really is when I play Santana songs, because
Santana's
he's got
great too, man. Yeah.
some, and that's another influence. Not as direct as Paco de Lucia and Joe McLaughlin and Jorge Struns, or Joe McLaughlin too, because Joe McLaughlin is definitely another influence, and Aldimiola, but in his sound and in the melodies, he, he's not a fast player, but he's got this melodic intonation that is just, it just goes right through you. You one note and you know it's him,
Hmm.
and so I admire that a lot. And it's definitely one of my favorite guitar players.
What like when you're writing a song,
Mhm.
right? Or when you're just jamming out, let's say, like is there anything in your head while you're doing that? Do you like is it I guess what I'm trying to ask is do you get inspired from let's say like politics, or do you get inspired from, let's say, like, just walking out down the street, down the park, like nature? Like what's the inspiration for when you're writing? Like where does that come from?
It's funny that you mentioned both of those things, because I've been inspired by both of those things.
Oh, okay. All right.
There I happened to watch this, not as much anymore, but I used to watch 24/7 Telesur, right? And they had
What is that?
Telesur is a Latin American channel
Okay.
that focuses on Latin America and the world, but basically seeing it from their eyes, So
Politics.
not necessarily politics, but culture.
Just anything pretty much.
Just a channel that focuses in Latin America,
Okay.
and to inform what's happening and the beauty of it, and blah 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 blah, the whole thing. So every once in a while, they'll go live with certain president is speaking live, and so I found myself a couple of times listening to either Chavez or Evo Morales, and I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds really good.
Inspiration.
And I'm not saying that they inspire me, but it just happened that, you know, um, a bird. I wrote a song called Poemas al Viento, which means poetry in the wind, for my mom. Well, I didn't write it for my mom, actually. I can't say that yet. I noticed that it was getting a lot of applause, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna dedicate that to my mom because everybody likes it." So anyway, but the melody comes from a bird.
So
You know,
you heard a bird, and then that just inspired
in,
you to.
in the springtime, we get the mockingbirds, and they start singing. They have 30, 60 different sounds within a 3 minute period, you know? And so it's like this one bird was like loud and just like, right. I had a mini disc recorded at that time, and I recorded the dude, and I stole the melody from him. I stole the melody.
Did you at least credit him with it? Like,
No, but I do give him credit in the booklet. I do say that and I do mention that I'll say it just because I don't want to get sued later. So just make sure that people know that it was that he gave
just
he that.
that bird that one time.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So yeah, no, those birds are just talented, man. They like I said,
Birds piss me off,
30,
man.
30, 30 different sounds within 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And it's
They
like,
have they have a pattern too.
yeah, it's
There's
like,
a certain pattern they have. It's like it's interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
We got a bird in the
Yeah,
studio, man.
exactly. So yeah, man.
That's wild. So I mean, yeah, because I'm not a I'm not a guitarist or musician by any stretch of the imagination, man.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that because like I've talked to other people too. They get inspired. I was just having this conversation with our engineer today, and he was telling me that like he gets inspired when he's depressed and when he's down and in that really bad state of mind. That's when he feels like he's ready to write music.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's just interesting because I like to know what everybody's thing is. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
some people like to do a mountain of cocaine before they write a song.
You know,
I don't know.
I've
I don't know what works.
heard, and I can quote Miles Davis and Coltrane and Charlie Parker that they used heroin because it adds to the creative side.
That's crazy.
And I'm scared of that drug.
I'm scared of that shit too. I
I
haven't
won't-
tried
I
it.
wouldn't-
Probably
I
won't.
wouldn't try it, but the thing for me is I mean, I used to believe that if I met this girl, I'm gonna write these beautiful songs, and I've been inspired by women too. I mean, the shortest song that I ever written, I wrote it like within 15 minutes, and the lyrics came to me, boom, and it's basically describing our first date, right? You broke my heart, and the whole thing, the whole circle, the whole circle, right? And so, but I can say that I can do that again. I mean, not that I'm saying that I can't, but I'm just saying
When
this
it
happened
strikes.
one time, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's around the same time that I wrote this other song that I dedicated for my mom too. That one and something that I'm working on at the moment. So that 3 songs came to me like very quick, like within 2 days, 3 days probably, and yeah, I do that, and when I grab the guitar, dude, I know I'm gonna go for some exercises, just to test myself, see how I'm doing that day, because sometimes I play like shit. And so once I've done my warm up, basically what I want to play is something I haven't played before. That's my mentality. That's my set of mind. Like, what haven't I done, or what can I do different this time now? Right? Like that's always, like there's got to be something here today. If I don't have it, it's okay. I can wait. I'm patient. But there are days where like, oh, I wish I had the phone, or like I have to write it down, or because otherwise you lose it. And I've lost many songs that way too.
Do you know how to read and write sheet
Yes.
music?
Yeah, I don't use it to write music, but I do use. I was using my voice. What do you call it? The voice memo, and I have a digital recorder now, and that's where I put them now. But before it was the mini disc, but the
You
mini
just
disc
bust it out and
yeah, just broke, and I need to get a new one because I have a box this long and maybe 30 or 50 discs with ideas in it.
got
So I
it.
need to go back and check those out. A lot of them are live performances, which is good too, because doing soloing you can come out with some good stuff.
It's like
And
little riffs and stuff
yeah,
you could pick and choose like
yeah,
which ones you want.
exactly. exactly.
Did you ever? I think you said earlier in the conversation that you ended up in New Orleans first, and you were playing with some guys. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I was with two bands. I was part of Elegant Gypsy and Acoustic Swiftness, and Elegant Gypsy is the name of an Al Di Meola album. So we just named ourselves after that album, Elegant Gypsy. And Acoustic Swiftness was a band that I did with another friend, and we were focusing uh, more on the avant-garde playing, and the other band was more like Gypsy Kings,
Hmm.
Santana, more pop. And so I was more interested in the acoustic swiftness because that's when I could shred
Yeah.
and I could do all the stuff that I really wanted to play because in those years, and even when I came to LA, I was really stubborn. I wasn't really the open-minded man that I am today. And I used to say, no, if I'm not going to play these songs, I'm not going to play the gig, and that basically closed a lot of doors for me. And now these days, I'm I'm a musician for hired, and I have to learn things for the client sometimes, and that's okay because that keeps me on my toes. I don't mind doing any type of music now. Why? Because it's music,
Yeah.
and I'm part of that, and I'm taking now the side of like appreciating every single style because in every single style there's a genius. Working at Tower Records, I learned that. You know, like for example, I may not be a huge fan of country music, but I love Patsy Cline. There's a couple of albums that Dwight Yoakam came up with in the 90s that were like, man, these songs are great. Like, and I know there's talent, dude. And so I'm not that close minded anymore. I'm just whatever I'm hearing is I take it as I'm supposed to hear it. So I'm gonna listen. I have very little patience for rap and hip hop because it's very rhythmic and there's
Yeah.
no virtuosity. It's more of it's more like poetry to me. And a lot of them it's very vulgar as
The
well.
the
But
older stuff maybe because I think you're right. Like it probably rides more on the lyrics than on anything else.
yeah,
Like
well, that's basically how I look at it. I look at them as like being the modern poets in a way because they're a lot of them are just saying like Tupac for example
oh come
was
on, this is the
so.
best man.
So I mean, but we don't see Jay-Z promoting this stuff. We don't see nobody really in the industry, and I'm talking about five different guys who own the hip hop industry in here in the United States, and they are the ones who don't allow this,
I don't
man.
think it makes money anymore. That's why. I mean, like I can't listen to any of the new rap that's come out lately because it's all like, dude,
Yeah,
that's fucking annoying.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you're not saying anything, and then even when you can actually understand the person, they're talking about the same thing that the guy in the last song was talking about. Like it gets boring after a while. It gets old.
Yeah,
You know, what are you gonna do, man?
yeah.
Like it's
I
sad, but
but I do like the collaborations between rappers and actual musicians. There's this group, the perfect example.
like live bands and stuff, or
Yeah, well, bands that have incorporated that. For example, there's one band from Barcelona, Spain, called Ojos de Brujo. They have a DJ. The girl who sings, she does rap as well. And there's another dude who does, what would you call that? The guy who does the noises, the beatbox, right? Or,
he's not an MC, is he? Like
something like an MC.
okay,
Yeah. And there's a dude with the scratches doing flamenco rhythms.
are you see like turntables?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. All
Oh
right,
my
that's
God,
kind of cool.
these guys are like, but it's not necessarily hip hop or just flamenco. It's all of these influences they as individuals had in their life and melted together, and it's like, wow, that is awesome. Another person that I do admire too is Residente from Calle 13. They're from Puerto Rico, and his lyrics are very up to date. Very he's avant-garde as well. I
Hmm.
think. I think he's got one song called Latino America that's pretty awesome. The lyrics, he goes down right in the middle.
Okay.
He's
No, dude,
not
you're giving me
he's
a
not
whole
holding.
list. Like we're writing it all down. I'm gonna check this stuff out when I go
Yeah, yeah,
home.
no, no,
Like,
we have to
Put it
share
up
this.
too on
We have to share. We have to share, man.
no, I'm excited. Do you have speaking of sharing, do you have anything you want to plug? Like, do you have a SoundCloud? Do you have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook? Like anything you want to plug?
Sure. I
Like,
have
where can people find your music?
right. Well, they can find my music on iTunes. under David, Daveed, and then the name of the album is World of Illusions. They can find that at CD Baby as well, and it's as digital downloads. And I am on Instagram, David F Alvarado, and the same thing with Facebook, David Fernando Alvarado.
We'll
But
throw it into the descriptions down
oh
below so that people can just like
yeah,
click it and stuff.
right, cool.
But
And yeah, man.
yeah, I wanna like get to the set because now you got me all like excited. I want to hear what you got. Like,
Cool, man. Yeah, no, I these days, dude, I'm working, not necessarily coffee places, but I'm working a couple of steady gigs in restaurants where I'm ambiance. And basically, my gig started being a classical flamenco set for me.
solo?
Yeah,
Okay.
all solo because that's what they wanted at the restaurant. And it turns out that as the years went by, people started asking for things. So now I'm incorporating Beatles, the Eagles, uh, What a Wonderful World, for example.
Like cover stuff?
Covers. Yeah, a lot of covers, and I'm really enjoying that because I'm playing things instrumentally for people to hear while they're eating or while they're having the drinks, and it's cool. I mean, it's like I said. I used to think, oh no, if I'm not gonna play Stronson for, if I'm not gonna play Paco de Lucia, I'm not playing the gig, right? No, these days it's like no. What? Let me hear the song, and a lot of times I'm introduced to songs that are so beautiful. I'm like, wow, thank you for letting me know, right? For example, I'm not a huge fan of or was, now I am, of John Legend, for example. And somebody said, hey,
Mm.
at a wedding, hey, can you do this song for us at a wedding? And it was All of Me, and I heard it. I'm like, wow, what a beautiful song. And then I go see the lyrics. It's written by four producers.
Of course it
They
is.
know exactly what to write, what lyric to change exactly in that chord because it's gonna make it a perfect
It's
hit.
probably a mathematical algorithm.
But it's a gorgeous piece of music.
I mean, I guess, but there's something to be said. It just like you can tell when something comes from here versus something that's just like, you know,
Yeah.
that
No,
artificially created. Like,
I hear what you're saying, but in this song I see the beauty in like four guys who know what they're doing,
hmm.
right? And I'm sure John Legend had a lot to do with it as well.
So you think maybe more technically beautiful, like beautiful in a technical sense, or just overall?
I'm thinking that maybe they work on the lyrics a little bit tighter than I would, They would use a different word here than I would. You know what I mean? Like
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
that in that way, and then maybe even the bridge, the way it changed, things like that. I see genius, man. I see your point, but I can say that about other types of music that does not make the cut. Like, oh, it's beautiful, but there's something missing. But in this case, maybe not that one because you know why? Because it's only one piano and one voice. It's not a whole band.
The John Legend
Yeah,
song.
yeah. But
Gotcha.
the key is what he's saying, and the melody. And that's really that's a talent. I wish I had that talent. I'd be writing more songs.
Engineering is
But
hard, man. I think people like underestimate it. Like it's not an easy thing to be able to put a pair of headphones on, listen to something, and chop it up and change the arrangement and tweak this to that, and then just here you go. This is the song perfected. Like
Yeah.
it's that shit is that's his territory.
I know,
man.
I know. I'm working on an album right now, and my friend who does it, Luis Villegas, who has said hello, great guy, man. He knows all that stuff. I don't even know how to turn the thing on. You know?
Just gotta have a big red button on it. Like just press this.
Yeah, it's like try not to touch anything around there. Try to put my phone there. Like, oh shit, did I move anything? Sorry about that. So,
Oh
yeah.
man. Well, let's go do this. Let's go check this set out, man.
Okay, dude. Awesome.